What's up, guys? This is yours truly, Empress Chassie Warmington, aka All That Chas, aka Lupus Slayer. I thank you guys for everybody who's been keeping me in prayer. Yes, I still, unfortunately, very ill. Not with the COVID-19, no, but season changes. It can really irritate and agitate chronic illnesses and diseases that I'm already battling. So I've been having very aggressive flare ups. I haven't even too long awakened. I think I may have been up now maybe about 30, 40 minutes. So, I've been really sick and I'm on my way to recovery, but it's just the way the season changes. It does provoke chronic illnesses. It does mess with your immune system and stuff, but it's not COVID 19 at all. Hi, Chris. How are you? Thanks for watching. But tonight rather, I want to talk to you all about relationships, marriages. Sometimes you have to lay in a bed of thorns to make your relationship and marriage work. And what I mean by that is, as long as there's a bed of roses and rose petals, and there's that softness and their smoothness, everybody is game. But as soon as they hit some hard times, and those stems start showing those thorns, and you start getting pricked by them, people want to run. But the thing about thorns, the best part about thorns on a rose, you can always just break them off. And it doesn't do any damage to the rose, and it doesn't do any damage to you. You can just tear off the thorns. But a lot of people will not throw out the thorns. What they rather do, they rather take the whole bouquet of flowers. They will take the whole rose, a beautiful, healthy, nice rose, and they'll just throw it away instead of just tearing off the thorns. That is causing the problem, and that's causing the friction in their relationship and marriage. And so, just like a little metaphor or whatever. But I think you guys get what I'm saying. Um, you know, uh, One thing that I've heard this from so many different people. And the reason I start with most times females, because me as a female, and I've, of course, have had relationships with men, I've been married. So, I'm talking from my own personal experience as well as experiences that I have seen, not just heard other women state that they have gone through, but I have actually seen women go through, and not just melanin women. Okay, so I don't want anybody to try to colorize this particular. Don't colorize it. I don't like when people do that to me. I know I'm a melanin woman, but when I'm talking, I'm not referring to a particular race or group or nationality of people. If so, I would state it. So I'm not saying this as a melanin woman about melanin men. No, I'm saying this period as a woman based on experiences that I have seen and witnessed a lot of women go through of different races, nationalities. Okay, so please don't colorize me and put that stigma on me, because I'm not referring to quote unquote melanin men and melanin men only. No, I'm not doing that. I'm talking about things that I've seen with different nationalities and races and groups of people. But anyway, one thing that I have noticed is that when we go through stuff, we don't get a lot of support a lot of times from our significant other or our husbands. It's like it's so easy for a man to walk away from us. It's very easy. It's much easier for a man to walk away from women than it is for women to walk away from men, especially if there's children involved. And this is stuff, people like to argue about it, but the proof is in the pudding. So we can argue all day, but that doesn't change the truth from things. And I don't like when people just continue want to debate and combat against things that is factual, that is truth, and that has been proven over and over, time and time again. So majority of divorces and relationships that break up is not because of finances like people say it is. No, it's because of infidelity. That's why a lot of relationships break up. because of infidelity and the lack of communication. Those are the top two reasons, and then finances come in third. Believe it or not, I know this because I've worked in courts, so I know what I'm talking about. but it is, um, but anyway, I've seen where a lot of women have been left because men are not educated on the woman's body. And I believe that is so essential when you're in a relationship with someone, whether you're heterosexual or homosexual. It is very important to understand the sexual gender and origin of the person that you are in a relationship with or married to. It is so important to know how the body works because there are things that we as women just cannot do that sometimes our significant other or our spouses want us to do when we're going through certain things in our bodies. Okay, we have men have estrogen. We do not have estrogen. We have something that's far worse than estrogen. Okay, let me get it so I can show it to you. Sorry about that. I got on my PJs right now, but I want to show this to you all because I'm the type person when I bring up things, I even though I know what it means, sometimes people may not know because they may never heard of it. Because believe you me, I learned a lot of stuff going through chronic illness and diseases. I learned stuff about my body that I didn't even know existed. I was like, what? What's that? Who? The words, like, can you like narrow it down? Like, why the words got to be so super long and have all of these syllables in it? Like, they ain't going. Can I just get a two, 1, 2, 3 syllable word? Why it got to be like 8, 9, 10 syllables in that one word? Like, it's just too much. So I understand sometimes, we just don't know, but we have an obligation and a responsibility to get to know and learn about the female body gender. I have an ex, and he has back issues because he has scoliosis. And I know about the man's body very well. Not just like that. Stop it. Behave. Stop being naughty. But I do study and I like to learn about the body, male and female. So I learned, I knew that what was going on with him that particular day, what was the issue with his back, didn't have anything to do with scoliosis, but it had something to do with his intestinal issues and gas and issues like that. So I knew how to massage because another thing I did several years ago, I used to be a physical fitness instructor. This was before I became pregnant with my son and stuff. So that just showed you how long ago that was. But I learned then as a physical instructor I learned about the body and I learned how it works. I learned about the different bones and the muscles and things of that nature. That's why when I go to the doctors and I've had doctors talking about, oh, it's all in your mind, it's all in your mind, I cursed them out or I snapped on them because I'm like, you're not talking to somebody who don't know, enough. Like I know a lot. I know I'm not no expert. I'm not claiming to be, but I know that what you're saying is not real. It's not true. And it's not in my mind. It's in my body. And I know my body. I've been in my body forever. So I know when something is or is not working right in my body. And just because you, as a doctor, is too incompetent to find out or it's beyond your scope, doesn't mean that I'm wrong and it's in my mind. How about that? All right, but let me pull this up. Okay, so men have estrogen. Y'all have estrogen, right? And we as women, we have I don't even know how to pronounce the word. I told y'all these words that we have progesterone or something like that, progression. I don't know, something like that. But anywho, it's important to know about the woman's body because we cannot always perform the way y'all want us to the way that y'all want us to. And it has nothing to do with us not wanting to be intimate or not wanting to engage. But when we go through certain things in our bodies, it's hard for us to describe it verbally because it is so over our heads. It might be over your head unless you are a man who is into the body and you really study the woman's body, study the anatomy of the woman's body and stuff. But we there are certain hormones in our bodies that we cannot control. Even with medications, with diet, there's just some things we're not going to be able to control, especially during ovulation and during childbirth, after childbirth, um, during menstrual cycles, during pregnancy. And the thing about it is, it's no quick fix to it. See, that's the biggest misconception. It seems like, okay, this will be done and over with. All you got to do is take these medicines, like the doctor says. All you got to do is go see this therapist, talk to these counselors, like the doctor said, and you're going to be fine. No, it is not that easy at all. Sometimes, I know for me, I went through postpartum depression when I had my son. I didn't understand what was going on with me. I didn't understand why I was feeling that way, but I did remember learning about, pregnancy and the different chemical imbalancement that can happen in moods and stuff like that, the things that happen to women during pregnancy and even after pregnancy. Don't you know, I went through postpartum depression up to almost 4 years after having my son. And there was nothing I could do about it. There was no medicine, no magic pill that I could pop and take to resolve it. So I was going through stuff, not just in my physical being, but also in my psyche that I didn't understand and I could not control, and I could not, I couldn't manage it the way I wanted to, and was hoping. I mean, it was interfering with even with me working. Like, I would just go into a deep slump depression and I could not control it. I could not shake it. I was shut down. There was moments where my mom and my sibling came and had to get my son when he was a little baby, because I was so disconnected psychologically that I was no earthly good. And I did not understand why I had the postpartum depression as aggressive as I did. Those are things that there's really not a definite, a finite answer to, but we be wanting the finite answers. Especially guys, you all don't like to explain things to us. Y'all like to just tell us, and then we supposed to just take it, and that's it. But you all don't like for us to try to explain things to you all. Y'all don't be wanting to hear it, because y'all just be like, oh, you just making, oh, you just do. No, we're not. I'm telling you, it's not. Just like I told my son, I said, listen, I said, mommy cannot teach you how to be a man. I can teach you how to be a gentleman, though. I can teach you how to treat a woman, how to treat a female, how you should be as a gentleman. I can teach you that. But as far as what you go through in your body and how it will affect you in your body, have been a male, having male organs and stuff, I cannot, and dealing with estrogen, I can't relate to that, because I'm not a man, I'm a woman. So there's some things I'm not going to be able to relate to you about, or be able to understand when there are certain things you may be going through with your body. Even when he was going through adolescence and going through puberty, there were just some things I would, even though I went through my adolescence and went through my puberty stage, it's different because the hormones in our bodies as women, as females, are different from, it's different in a lot of ways from the hormones that men go through. And but one thing is for certain, it always messes with our psyche some kind of way. In similar ways, in same ways, it messes with our psyche. But I notice when that happened with men are easy to shut down. Y'all shut down real easily. Um, Even if y'all start out very patient and y'all start out very cool and calm and collect, after a while, you guys start losing that patience with us. You all get very frustrated with us, and you don't understand how things that we deal with in our bodies. And then on top of that, you have to understand, and I know a lot of people always been like, oh yeah, I always try to put the system involved, the system, this, the system, that. It does play a role in it in a lot of aspects. If you go to any area, I'm talking about areas that are rural and predominantly one particular race or nationality, that, male people, you will see that with the people who work in food and servitude type jobs and positions are us. And that's a lot to deal with, especially when you're not getting proper pay. Excuse me. So imagine dealing with that kind of stress, and then you're dealing with what's going on in your body, and you can't control it. You got these hormones. I'm crazy because I'm gonna tell you, 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks out of every month, especially if a woman is not pregnant, we're going to have moves because we start ovulating within every 2 months. Every 2 months. So our hormones is messing with us. It always messes with us. That's why it's like when a woman is telling you, don't pressure her, just leave her alone. Please listen, because a lot of women have snapped, not because they wanted to, because they're no murderer, they're no killer, or they violent or anything. But there's that little thing, like I said, some things you just cannot explain in words. Some things you just have to experience yourself and go through yourself to really understand. But there's that thing there that just make us and if you come and it's already ding, and it's like you taking a big long step, boom, boom, and it's going to make us go berserk on you. Okay, it's going to make us snap, go AWOL, crazy, and we really cannot help it and control it. We cannot. So it's important to understand the woman's body as a man, not just sexually, but also how our hormones and our progesterone also affects us psychologically as well. Um, Let me see. Um, so I've seen this happen in relationships with men going out in marriages and they cheat on their significant other, their wives, because they can't understand what's going on, or because y'all come to impatient with us, or you give up on us. Um, let's see. Sorry, guys, I'm pulling this information up. Okay. Yeah, the men, y'all have the testosterone. Okay, say estrogen. I'm sorry, testosterone. The men, y'all have testosterone. We all have estrogen, but y'all testosterone is be on another level. See, we don't have testosterone as women. We have. Oh, what the world? Uh-uh. Oh, guys, y'all don't see what I'm reading. Y'all be like, oh, hell no, no, this like, nope, nope. Mm-mm. This is on WebMD. Uh-oh. Yeah, we all have estrogen, but I was trying to say testosterone, so I'm glad I saw that word. Forgive me, y'all. I forget sometimes. It's just something that happens. But, but we don't, we get hormones that messes with us, that we control. And so I notice a lot of guys walk out on women when we're pregnant, when we're going through our mood swings, because y'all don't understand what's going on, or it's easier to just walk away. But and I know the thing is, every woman doesn't respond the same way. That's the thing too. You can't compare us just like how you all do us as women compare you all to our exes or compare you to any other men. Don't control us to any other woman as far as how we may respond or how we may react or act to certain things, because we are all different. Yes, we may have the same sex gender, but we are different people, for the most part. Um, let's see, women with high estrogen. And see, that's another thing too. Some women have very high estrogen. Some women don't have high estrogen. Um, but we go through stuff. It start with the P's. Part estrogen or patrus something that we go through. I can't even find the word. And I don't know why I can't remember, because I was just talking about it literally yesterday. And for some reason, my mind is blank about it. It'll probably come once I finish the video. Watch, go whole figure, right? But we need to understand each other's bodies. We need to understand each other's psyche. But something that we cannot, and that we do too much, we try to figure each other out. We're not a math problem, even though we can be as complex as one. Especially when you start getting your calculus and your trigonometry and stuff like that. We can be just as complicated as one, be as complicated as a formula, but we are not formulas and we're not chemicals, even though our body are made up of those fundamentals. We are real life, breathing, walking human beings who deal with different things in life. We deal with real life issues. There could be things like, for me, I can use myself as an example. There were things that happened to me in my childhood that I did not realize had shaped me into having the mindset that I had as an adult, because I felt like I was fine. Because I'm like, I know how to go to work. I never mind being a hard worker. I didn't mind working, paying my bills, keeping my rent paid, getting property, owning stuff. I'm like, shoot. In college and stuff, paying my way to college, and just feeling instructed, all getting, take care of myself, eat right, take care of my health. And I'm thinking I'm good, and fellas looking and stuff. Oh, girl, look at you today, girl. Look at you. I see how you working out, getting them squats in, girl. Yeah. So to me, I felt perfectly fine. Like, ain't nothing wrong with me. If anything, there's something wrong with him. Ain't nothing wrong with me. And technically, it was not anything necessarily wrong with me per se. But how I channeled my emotions and how I dealt with things that I didn't even know was affecting me was a different story. Because I did not know that things that I went through in my childhood and my young adulthood had affected my psyche. So I didn't know I was walking around traumatized and had postpartum depression. I mean, post-traumatic stress disorder. I didn't know that. This was even before I had my son. I was already dealing with that. But I didn't know that because I felt like I was happy-go-luckier. But at the same time, I remember having my moments, excuse me, on quite a few times, several occasions, where I would be just sitting down. I could be watching a funny show. I could be watching like American funny videos or something. Watching pets playing and falling and doing silly stuff. And I would just bust out crying. I would be so sad. I would get so sad, like so depressed and sad, and just be crying my eyes out. I didn't understand why. I don't know. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm really cool. Like, girl, you are tripping. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you crying? Why are you bawling your eyes out? And for the life of me, I could not control it. I couldn't stop it. I did not understand what was going on with me. That's why I tell people you have to be really careful how you talk to people and be delicate. But we are taught with this westernization, colonization mentalities here in America, especially in Europe, especially in Europe, that, oh, the person's just crazy. Oh, they just retarded. Oh, they always been like that. We don't, we just, because that's what we were told. Our ancestors were told, our generation before us was told, and it had just been passed on from generation to generation, but nobody has never really taken out the time to really investigate it, to really research it, to really try to get a better understanding, because it's like it has to be more to it. People don't just it, and I'm not talking about somebody who obviously have a mental disorder or mental health problem, because we do know that there are people who actually have mental health disorders and problems. Not talking about that. I'm talking about someone who is, for the most part, a very structural person, who is a very responsible person, but they just seem to make reckless decisions, or they find themselves getting into reckless and abusive relationships, um, or sabotaging good things, and they don't do it intentionally. It just happens, like it just follows them or something. We have to understand why that is. Excuse me. And I know growing up for me, I was always just taught religion. Oh, they just like that because God mad at them. Oh, they done did something, or their ancestor did something, so they curse don't came up on them. They say stuff like that. Oh, they gonna have to go to the altar and travail, and they gonna have to repent, and that has nothing to do with it. And no pun intended to anyone, who believe that, but I'm just, from my own experience and experience that I've seen with other people, that has never helped them and never resolved it. It actually makes it worse, and what it actually does, it makes you be in denial. It makes you be in denial about the reality and truth of things, because nobody wants to admit that they have those kind of issues, because people will look at you differently. They'll start treating you differently, and they'll start side eyeing you, because they have been taught a lie, and they have a great big misunderstanding of what it is that you're dealing with, and what you could, and how it could be possibly affecting you psychologically. It has nothing to do with no demons and no spirits and all of that. No, it has to do with the hormones and the way our body works, the way our estrogen works with, as women, with our progesterone or whatever, progesterone, whatever that word is. For those who know, please type it, because I, for some reason, cannot remember that. And then even with the men, why sometimes men act the way they do, and how the estrogen with the testosterone, how it affect their psyche. It has nothing to do with no dang on freaking demons. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's things that we are taught from generation to generation that may seem to be, well, they went to the altar, the pastor laid hands on them, and they screamed and stuff, and they did all this, and they were demonic, and they cast the demon out, and then they were fine. Can you believe that lie? If you want to, go right on ahead, because I guarantee you, give them about another 2-3+ years, that's going to come back up. And you know why? It ain't no demon returning. It's called hormones. It's called the way the body works, the way our hormones send signals to our brains. Duh. Understand that, okay? Like, stop trying to put everything on religion and on the demon and the devil and God and stuff. A lot of it just have to do with human nature, just the way our body works, just the way our body communicates with our brain. Our blood communicates with our brain. If we don't have enough blood going to our brain would swell up, and we can have aneurysm, or if we get too much blood in the brain, we can have aneurysm, stroke, and stuff like that. It's all about the way our body communicate with itself, okay, internally, how our mind and it communicates with our body, because it sends a signal to the brain, and the brain tells the body, okay, organ, you are liver, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, lungs, you're supposed to be doing this. Okay, heart, you're supposed to be pumping like that. It's called body communication. All right, our internal system have its own language. It has nothing to do with no demons. So stop with the religious rhetoric. And that's why a lot of people walking around here are lost, and why a lot of people, relationships and marriages are falling apart, because nobody is sitting up there and having a logical and true and intelligent conversation with them about their bodies, and talking about their bodies medically, and in the natural form and what it is designed and how it's designed to operate. Instead, they're trying to throw oil on you and make you get on the altar and travail, and it has to do with that. So that's all I'm saying. Or it doesn't have anything to do with the person being crazy. They don't need to go see a shrink. They don't need to be admitted into no psych ward. They don't need to be pumped up with Prozac and Cymbalta and all of that stuff. They don't need none of that. What they need is to be able to understand why their body is doing what it does and why it causes them to act the way they do. Hey, Rick, how are you? Thanks for watching. Why their body responds the way it responds and why it acts the way it does, and why when it act like that, it because it communicates to the brain, your mind automatically will make you, however, whatever signal is sent to your mind is what you're going to react. It's how you're going to react. It's just like how people be like, oh, I didn't think about it. It just came to me. It just came to me and I just reacted. That's the way it is. I mean, like, seriously, that's the way hormones are. That's the way estrogen is to our hormones, and estrogen and hormones is to a man testosterone, and how estrogen and hormones is to a woman's progesterone or whatever it is, or something like that. But it's different in men and it's different in women. So for a long time, I noticed that men have not been taught these things. And that's why it's so easy for a lot of men to just walk away from a relationship or out of a marriage when they don't understand why the woman's responding the way she is, and they don't be understanding why they are so quick to want to just walk away, because men are not taught to stand and to deal with that. They're not taught to about the self-control and about how to be disciplined in their bodies. I don't know too many men that are taught that. Again, I know a lot of men that's been taught religion to sustain, because if I'm your wife or your significant other and I get pregnant and I'm having a high risk pregnancy, and so we may not be able to have sexual intercourse for 7+ months, and you mean to tell me you can't wait a whole year, you can't sustain yourself a year until my body heals, then guess what? You don't need to be with nobody, because if you can't sustain yourself for a year, even 2 consecutive years, something is really wrong with you. It's not that you can't, it's a choice. Because believe you me, man, y'all act like when we going through stuff like that we don't be wanting to. We be wanting to. Sure, we just can't. We can't, because we know it's going to put us at risk. It's just like, I don't know if you all seen this. It's called medical. It's a medical mystery. This lady, she was going through something in her body, and she was being hard-headed because the doctor told her, her OB told her, do not have sexual intercourse right now, because this medication, this process that we're going through, you're going to be, it's going to be too much on your body, and you're going to, if you have sex, you might have uncontrollable orgasms. Did she listen? No. You know why she didn't listen? Because her husband, not being understanding, not being patient, not paying attention to what the doctor is telling her, because he just want to get his dick wet. He want to stroke her. He wants sex. So he didn't care about the risk that was involved with it. She, being a loving wife, want to keep her husband happy. She have sex anyway, even though the doctor told her not to, because she was still going through a procedure, and they had already given her medicines. That was something, I don't forgot what that procedure was, but the process of this procedure, it makes, if you have sex, it'll cause you to have uncontrollable orgasms. And guess what? She was having uncontrollable orgasms. And he thought it was hilarious. He decided to record it and put it on Facebook. Yeah, he did. It's on Medical Mysteries. But she, she was having uncontrollable orgasms because she didn't want her husband to be upset with her. And we as women should never feel like we have to put our health and our lives in jeopardy like that to have sex with our significant other, our husband. You all should be patient enough for, and when I say you all, I'm not saying generalizing all men at all, at all. I'm not doing that. So please don't take it personal. But my mom said a hit dog will holler. So if you're guilty of it, then yeah, it will offend you probably or make you feel some kind of way. But if you're not guilty of it, then it should not offend you. But don't make us feel bad and guilty because we are trying to take care of our health and we're going through things in our bodies that we can't even control and we don't understand. It's just like how I see a lot of posts, and I've heard this so much because I've lived in 5 different states and I've been in different countries and to the Caribbean and stuff, and it's always the same. This happens all the time, the same everywhere, every place that I've been. Even Mexico, I've been to Mexico. When I used to live in Cali, I used to live in Gardena, California, several years ago. But I've seen it where the guys, the men, if they're going through something, they want the woman to be understanding, to be patient, to wait for him to get it together. But when it comes to us as women, most guys are not willing to do that for us. And I've seen this happen time and time again. Different races, different nationalities, different regions of the world. It's really, really sad. Especially mostly in countries or nations that has been taught westernization. It's like that a lot. Um, you know, it's like what happened to the unconditional love? There's no such thing as unconditional love hardly these days. Nobody want to lay in a bed of thorns because it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. There's no relationship or no marriage that's going to feel good all the time. It's not. That's not reality. That's la la land. That's fantasy. And that's denial. All relationships, all marriages will have their trials. They will have their ups and downs. They will have their tests. They will have their temptations. And I'm going to be honest. We as women get tempted too. Shoot. You might come in, a man may come in after working maybe 12, 13 plus hours. Been on his feet all day. Back hurting like hell. We don't been to work and school. Probably, for those with children, probably have had the children. And we'll still be ready sometimes, a lot of times. But the guy probably be too tired. We don't try to make y'all feel bad. Not the ones that I know, the females I know, women I know, don't try to make their significant other, their spouse feel bad about it. Oh, I understand, babe. I'm sorry. And proceeds to give him a massage or rub his feet, rub his back. Why we can't get that? It's all I'm saying. You know why? Because society doesn't teach men to do that. Society teach men what one won't do, another one will. She don't want to give you what you want. You can go get somebody else. Because it's easier for a man to marry a woman than it is. And it is. It's easier for men to meet women, to meet somebody as quickly as a woman. And the reason why I say that, because men have a special charm about themselves. Not saying women don't either, but a lot of times women be acting like sometimes we can act like we're too needy. We can be too needy sometimes with a man. And a lot of men plays on that. They use it to their advantage. And to be honest with you, I can't hate the hustle, hate the game. And if a woman's going to put herself out there to continue to be that vulnerable, I don't feel that it's okay for a man to take advantage of a woman's vulnerability. I think that shows a weakness in a man, because a strong man would not take advantage of a woman's weakness. If anything, he would try to build her up. He would try to find her strength and build her up. And vice versa, a woman who has a really good man and he's very mild and he's very meek, very humbled. Um, I don't like to use the word submissive, but very he's not a contentious person. He doesn't like to combat and he doesn't like to argue. He would rather just give in, just to please her, to make her happy. And good men always seem to get with women like that. They said the opposite of try to say good girls love bad boys and and good boys love bad girls. I believe that's true. Because I've had good men, but they couldn't appreciate me. But then they go and be with a battle axe woman. Some of them, I found out, they got in contact with me some kind of way through the grapevine with technology nowadays, through social media. Some of them complained about, their experiences with their now current wives or current mates or previous wife or previous mate after me. How much hell they went through, how unhappy, how miserable they are. And I'm sorry, you didn't want a good girl. I was too good to Miss Goody Two Shoe for you. But I'm a good girl with bad girl tendencies, though. That's the thing. I'm a good girl, but I have a lot of bad girl tendencies. I could go there now. Hey. And they knew that. But it was easier for the man to walk away. It's always easier to do that. And society make you all as men feel like it's okay, that it's justifiable, that it's rational, that it's your right because you have freedom to do whatever you want to do. You're grown. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, you can. But you think about the consequences. You think about yourself being in that person's shoes. If you were the woman, and if you were going through pregnancy, or if you were going through something in your hormones, or if you were going through something in your life, or you were dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder or postpartum depression, how would you want your husband to treat you? We have to learn how to try to relate and put ourselves in each other's shoes. Because when we don't, we become very insensitive to each other. We become very desensitized to each other as well. Like, that's just what women do. That's just what men do. Guys would be guys, men would be men, boys would be boys. And I have even heard men say, men have needs. We have needs too. Just because our needs not always is the same needs as you all doesn't make them irrelevant. And that's the thing, like, it's coming for the meeting of the mind, the mutual respect, the mutual understanding. It's just like, just because I like chocolate cake and you may not, and you may prefer lemon cake, doesn't mean that and I don't like lemon cake, doesn't mean that I have to like and love lemon cake just because you do. It's okay for us to have differences and different likes and different opinions about things, but it does not give us the right. It doesn't, well, I won't say the right, but it doesn't give us the green light or the justification to go out there and disrespect to each other, to hurt each other, to do things that we know will cause a rip in in our relationship, in each other's heart, in each other's lives. And I posted something yesterday that I heard on Deadly Women. I be watching these crime shows. So this crime show called Deadly Women came on, and one of the detectives, she said that when a person has no empathy, they have no compassion because they cannot empathize with a person. And I find that out a lot. A lot of men cannot empathize with us as women, although more women can empathize with men. But when it comes to men empathizing with us, a lot of times, most men rather just go. They just walk away, or they just act out of their hormones and their emotions, and they're, next thing you know, they done cheated. They done left a good woman to be with another woman. And I'm gonna tell you something. As long as we live, we're gonna always see somebody who we may that physically or even that may mentally stimulate us if we open that door for them to do that. You don't give people that room. Don't never let somebody of the opposite sex, for those who are heterosexuals, if you're same sexual, if you're homosexuals or the same sex, never let somebody outside of your relationship or your marriage get that close to you where you find yourself that comfortable, especially if you know that you're in a vulnerable position, if you know that you're going through something, if you know that you're emotional. See, you have to be aware of yourself. You have to have self-awareness first and foremost of yourself. Like me, I'm not emotional as far as like just wanting where I just act out of my emotions. I'm emotional where it comes to being very empathetic and compassionate. I'm very meek. I'm very humbled. I love to love, and I understand that. So I have to be really careful who I open myself up to, even if I'm going through something. Like when I was going through the breakup out of my 5 year relationship, I was extremely psychologically and emotionally vulnerable. Extremely. I didn't go out on no dates. I was asked out. I didn't even put myself in positions. I'm telling you, it's something about when you go through stuff like that, or you in a vulnerable place in your emotions or in your hormones, or you in a vulnerable place, it seems like all kind of temptations come to you, don't it? People just be coming out the woodworks, offering you dates and stuff, and wanting, and there don't be no ugly people either. They be looking so good. You be like, damn it. And it was like these guys was coming at the woodworks. Gorgeous, man. I'm just like, why? Where were y'all before? I was in a relationship before I was engaged, and before the breakup, before I even met this person. Where were you all then? Why they want to now start popping up now that I'm in a relationship, and now and that I'm in a vulnerable place now emotionally? You got to think about that. Why? You know why? Because vulnerability attracts prey. It's just like sorry, ouch. It's just like in the wild, right? It's like the lions, they can sense vulnerability, and they go for the most vulnerable animal. Out of the whole herd of wildebeests that be out there, you got all of those wildebeests. What happens? Those lions and lioness, they can sense out the weakest and most vulnerable one. I won't even say weak one, but most vulnerable one. They can seek them out. It doesn't matter if it's a baby one or a full grown wildebeest. They can seek. They know how to sense that vulnerability. We as humans, we have that same instinct. Some use it for good. Some use it to prey on people. Some, as far as not prey like this, but to prey on them and take advantage of them. But then you got those who won't. If any kind of preying they're going to do for them, it's going to be praying to the universe, praying to the Most High to give them strength, to help them, to heal them. And for me, I don't even get impressed by a guy that does that. I met a guy before. I was in a relationship with him. We was in a relationship on and out for about 4 years. I just got tired of it. I was like, forget it. But when we first start talking, the very first day we talked, before we concluded our conversation, he said a prayer for me. I was shocked. I was like, it impressed me. Ain't gonna lie. I was so impressed. I was like, dang, this dude prayed for me. Like, but it was a setup. Because the real him eventually showed itself. So don't get caught up in things like that. When you see people, they seem to do the right things, say the right things. Don't get too swept up and caught away that, because if it's what are they going to do on a consistent basis? It's easy to start like that, but can you continue it? Can you continue it until death do us part? Can you continue it? Will you continue it? Are you going to continue it? So, but I have seen that happen so much in relationships where men will leave good women because thorns start popping off, start growing on the stem of their rose petal. Your woman is your rose. And yes, thorns do grow on the stem. Our relationship is supposed to be, I would say the relationship. And yeah, sometimes there's going to be thorns. But you can pop those thorns off. You don't throw all away. Anybody, I don't know anybody, and hear me this, right, reasonable state of mind would throw away a whole thing of roses, bouquet of roses, because the thorns, because they have thorns on. No, if anything, they'll take to the flower shop, have them remove the thorns off, or they take them off themselves, or they just leave them on there. So don't run away from us, man. Don't hang in there with us. Be strong for us. Be that backbone that we need. Be that foundation. Be that hero that we need. Be that warrior we need. And we do likewise. We'll be that Shiro for you. We'll be there for you. We'll stand strong for you. But support us. And don't fall into temptation. Don't let it take you. Don't give up on us so easily. Because it takes a stronger person to stand in the storm. It's easy to walk away. But it takes a strong person to stand there and fight. Okay? Y'all love us. We love y'all. Shoot. I love myself some men. God bless, one love, peace. And thanks for watching. And you guys have a great night and take care. And don't get this corona.